Welcome, everyone. It is 12 o'clock. Welcome to Lunch Without Lunch. I'm Amber Rowden, the community storyteller at Rainforest Alberta, and we have Bridget Legault, the community manager at Rainforest Alberta. She's waving. I just want to say that I have a LGBTQ2S+ flag in my background, and I invite you all to share your background with us as well. And then if you're new to the rainforest, please share in the chat, introduce yourself, share an emoji on the screen. We really want to get to know you. And I'm going to start us off with a land acknowledgement. So in the spirit of reconciliation, we acknowledge that we live, work, and play on the traditional territories of the Blackfoot Confederacy, the Siksika, the Kainai, the Piikani, the Tsuut'ina, the Stoney Nakoda Nations, the Métis Nation, Region 3, and all people who make their homes in the Treaty 7 region of Southern Alberta. For those in the Edmonton area, we acknowledge the traditional lands of the Treaty 6 territory of the Cree, Dene, Blackfoot, Saulteaux, Nakota Sioux, as well as the Métis. Thank you for joining us and sharing a land acknowledgement. And if you're coming from somewhere else in Canada or the province or the world, please feel free to drop your own in the chat. And if you would like to share your own land acknowledgement, please contact us. We'd love to share a different version as well. So I'm going to pass it over to our friends in Edmonton, Joel, who will be sharing an introduction to the rainforest.
Yeah, thanks so much, Amber. So hi, everyone. My name is Joel McGelnick. I have not been here in a while either, kind of like Bridget. I've had some standing meetings at this time with the startup that I'm a part of, Be Live Music. And as well, I have a consulting company that does UX, product design, and content development, working with startups and large companies. So good to see you all here today. And I am actually excited to introduce our guest who's going to be with us today. So those of you who might be fans of the film The Revenant may recognize our guest as French Trapper, who was the guy who chased after Leonardo DiCaprio with a gun that actually had rubber bullets. He's also a screenwriter and filmmaker in his own right with some film shorts he's created. We're excited to have him here today in a much more apropos role for this crowd as a game-based educator and the director of operations of Infinite Mind Pictures. So this is Stefan Rasporich, who has made inroads in the Calgary area with faculty at the U of C's Workland School of Education, as well as several arts and STEM high school programs. He's going to tell you a lot more about the work that he's doing, and I really don't want to steal his thunder. But one thing I just do want to say is that in my own experience, in a past startup I was a part of as co-founder of a VR company that focused on game-based learning, I can see how Stefan has hit upon a formula that's gaining way more traction than mine did. Partly because he's using tools that already exist, and he's repurposing them to teach students about building their own worlds with a particular mission in mind. So, Stefan Rasporich, I want to welcome you to Lunch Without Lunch. I'm really happy to have you here. And I want to start out by just having you tell us a little bit about yourself and Infinite Mind and some of the classes that you offer.
Thank you so much, Joel. Before we get into Stefan's presentation, I'm just going to do a quick introduction to the rainforest, but thank you so much for that introduction. That was incredible. And yeah, before we get to Stefan, I'll quickly do this introduction and then I'll pass it back over if that's okay.
Yep.
Okay, cool. So what is Rainforest Alberta? I'm going to share this awesome explainer video we have.
What does it take to realize an idea? Or for a seed to sprout? At Rainforest Alberta, we know the answer is rooted in trust. Traditionally, Albertans have cultivated their ideas in established systems. Inputs that don't fit these systems are weeded out. Opportunities for growth are missed. But now, Albertans want a dynamic landscape that can evolve organically, like a rainforest. At Rainforest Alberta, we believe a culture of trust is the fertile soil where ideas grow. Our budding innovation ecosystem is a network of relationships pulling each other up as they push forward in their own field. Trust breaks down barriers. An open, inclusive network increases collaborative innovation. Successful breakthroughs inspire new ideas. A cycle begins. Rainforest Alberta is a movement to amplify trust by cultivating honesty, inclusion, and accountability. How? Our social contract holds us accountable to demonstrate trust across the province. We meet to have honest conversations around collaboration. This leads to more inclusive spaces for everyone to fearlessly build new ideas together. By raising the standard of trust, Alberta's ideas, talent, and resources can be evergreen. Visit rainforestab.ca to sign the social contract and start growing together.
So I will drop the link to the social contract in the chat, but there are 10 values that we live, work, and play by. And if they resonate with you, we ask that you sign that and live by that in your daily life. So we use 6 pillars to guide our conversations and actions. Not all are weighted equally. And like any ecosystem, the right balance is crucial. So we measure these each year through our scorecard assessment, and culture's weighted the highest at 30% and leaders is 20%, which are the ones that we focus the most on at the Rainforest. We also have resources, engaged activities, policy and infrastructure, and role models. So tips to making the most out of Lunch Without Lunch. Introduce yourself in the chat, drop your LinkedIn in there, tell us who you are, what you're working on, what you're looking for, what you can offer. We want to get to know you. Connect with individuals through direct messaging. Put your camera on. I always say this, but I do love to see everyone's beautiful faces. Ask questions. If you have questions for Stefan, please put them in the chat. Keep connecting on our Rainforest Slack workspace. Check out lunch notes for a capture of today's chat. And if you missed any of our recordings, check them out on our YouTube channel. So each week we highlight value in our social contract, and this week is diversity. So I embrace diversity. I strive to create equal opportunity for every person, and I'm open to meeting anyone in this community. At Rainforest, we're very focused on diversity and not just talking the talk, but actually walking the walk. So as you go forth today and in the week, think about how you are bringing diversity into your life and be open to meeting anyone in this community. We're here to make connections and to meet new people. So with that introduction, I'm going to pass it back over to Joel and Stefan for that amazing introduction that Joel did. And yeah.
Great. And so Amber, I sent you a private message with Stefan's slide deck. So we can put that up whenever he's ready. But really, I kind of want to pass it on to Stefan and have you get started and just tell us again a little bit about yourself and Infinite Mind and some of the classes that you offer.
Oh, thanks for the intro, Joel. And just, something funny about the Revenant there is, my shoulder is really, really important in framing a scene, and that's pretty much all that made it in from my side. But it was a really fun experience, and working with like Alejandro Iñárritu, like as a director and actually getting some direction was, I'd say, the highlight of my acting. I'm just wondering, can you see the screen or the presentation?
Yes, we can.
Okay, awesome. All right, and thank you, Amber, for that great introduction, and also just about the social contract. It just resonates so deeply with me on so many levels. I've come to Rainforest Lunch Without Lunch, and every time it's been an incredible experience, and so much has come out of it. And actually, I wouldn't be here right now if I hadn't attended those sessions and just recently, well, fairly recently at the Innovate Cochrane launch there, presenting the social contract and just reminding about, pay it forward and help and honesty and role model. Like these are values that I truly, aspire to live by. And I think it's why I'm here. I love this community and want to give back in any way I can. So yeah, it says on my slide, educator, dreamer, Minecraft maker. Yeah, it's great. This is a passion project, which I've been working on for years. And it truly has been, fun and sometimes terrifying and other times like totally inspiring. So it's, I consider myself a creative educator. I take my work from film and theater and television and acting and screenwriting, and I try to connect that with everything that I'm doing. And storytelling is a huge part of that, and finding the story I think is really important, especially with when the youth are learning and when you're empowering them to find their own story and their own voice. Having background in this, I think, is just it's very helpful. And so, as a co-founder of Infinite Mind Pictures, I have applied learning principles that I've gained from 25 years of teaching and learning experience. Artist, designer, really offering students real choices, I think is kind of what it comes down to for me. And I know it says imagination plus ethics there. That's I'm always thinking of role models for myself. And Albert Einstein is one of those role models. Imagination is more important than knowledge. And then his later work with understanding that you have to have an ethical framework if you've created really powerful things that can affect us all on a planetary scale. So that's just but one of my role models. These are the 25, I call it the list of D20 principles. And like the first principle is a 7-generation sustainability lens with empathic relationships. And when you take a look at any of the courses, especially the sustainability lab, the first thing that we get students to do is to connect with an animal, like a panda or an axolotl or whatever these animals that they can spawn in Minecraft, and to build in a biome in a way that shelters and protects that animal. And so that sets the stage for creating a sustainable village that can last for 7 generations. And so there's many different principles that I've gained over countless experiences in the classroom and outside of the classroom, but getting into creative mode as soon as possible, using the natural world to create metaphors that we mine. So everything in the sustainability lab is based on a tree, and it's a metaphor that can, the rainforest, there we go. That's like, we have a canopy that connects us and protects us. And there's so many layers in a rainforest, so many different zones of growth and ecosystems unique to themselves within there. So that's a great metaphor. And it also has roots. It has leaves, which perhaps the most efficient battery on the planet. There's so many things that once you start looking to the natural world and creating metaphors, we can understand each other on a different level, more
Cool.
Universally.
Can you talk a little bit about how you're using Minecraft and why you're using Minecraft to sort of bring students to this idea of your D20 principles and what the education provides?
Yeah, I think what's great about Minecraft is it's worldwide. Like it's an incredibly ubiquitous gaming platform, and also every youth can connect to it in their own way, and it's so flexible. Like you have creative mode where it just lends itself to this iterative design where you can build and destroy and just go through that whole cycle, and it's just happening in front of you, and you can get into this really great flow state. So I think I've noticed that with students. And when kind of Minecraft first came out, it took me a couple of years. I was playing around with it, but to actually try it in the classroom. And what I noticed there was, first off, the most important thing to me was a diverse group of learners, and there's the word diversity could access this. And it didn't have the total nerd factor of prohibiting all genders from like getting in. It's like, no, everybody had a way in, and that was great. So low access to entry. The other thing I would say is people started mentoring each other right away. Like, it's like, oh, you don't know how to do this redstone thing. Well, let me help you with that. Or, here's how you access your inventory, or, all these things. Like, as soon as you achieve a certain, kind of basic skill level, you just naturally want to share. And that just turned into like 20 little teachers in the classroom, and made my experience so much greater, because I could then, start to promote those students who were wanting, were gaining more power, more knowledge to, my Minecraft skin is Spider-Man, and that's because with great power comes great responsibility. All right, Uncle Ben, I kind of see myself as a little bit, but yeah, as students, gain more of that, they also are given more responsibility to help others. And again, bring it back to the rainforest ethic. help pay it forward. Like all those things I just started naturally seeing, and I'm like, this is great. This is a long journey that I want to go on, where I can see, you know, those 7 generations, like those students teaching each other, and then the next grade can, you know, teach younger students. And often it's the reverse. It's like, okay, you're 11 years old and you know far more about Minecraft than I do, so I'm going to watch YouTube videos of you building and using command blocks to learn how to do this stuff. So that also promotes a little bit of humility, I think, as we start to realize it doesn't matter how old you are, you still can have something to offer to the community.
Yeah, so talk up a little bit about what the program is and who's coming in and how people are actually engaging with Infinite Mind, you know, whether it's in Calgary alone or if you're getting people from elsewhere, you know, how they're meeting each other and how they're actually interacting.
Oh yeah, we'll go back to this slide then, because this is a Padlet, by the way, and we kind of organize our learning through this system of Padlets. And on Padlet, I discovered they have an Earth map. That's just basically Google Earth. But students can put a pin on here. So every one of these pins almost everyone represents a student. And they come from all over the world. And they don't necessarily choose to build in a biome where they're from. I have a student from Singapore who's like, I really want to build in the snowy tundra. And I'm like, all right, well, let's set you up near Churchill, Manitoba, and put some polar bears in there. That's what they chose. Actually, no, they chose an Arctic fox as their animal. But then this great thing starts to emerge as, you know, students from all over the world are building together, and they're sharing their love of this Minecraft game and their experiences with each other. And in fact, in one of these classes, they started to build their own mini community, and it's almost like they've created a world within a world, and it feels a little bit like a Stranger Things kind of D&D thing that they're building with like tendrils, like there's this whole backstory that they've created of, you know, creatures and building their own dungeons and things. And it's, of course, sustainability is always at the forefront of things, and so they build their own renewable energy sources. Like all the colors that you see on this map, each one represents a different kind of renewable energy. So like purple is wind, green is hydro, orange is sci-fi, which tends to be nuclear, but I want to open it up to, like, let's think of, you know, quantum energy, gravity sources. Who knows? Like this could be something that we discover. But yeah, there's 6 renewable energy teams.
That's great. And what's the ultimate goal? Like, you know, maybe your kids are coming with you for a week or for a few months. What are you hoping that they're going to take with them out of Minecraft after a particular project is done?
Well, I mean, our mission statement is very much like, imagine a sustainable future and act to make it a reality. So we do a lot of the imagination stuff for sure. Like I'd said, those redstone sort of circuitry machine creations that shows renewable energy generating like a redstone or electrical signal. But to really start to develop this planetary view of things, like the first thing they do when they come in is they see a big map of the Earth inside the Minecraft world, and it's a south up map. And I got this from I think Fair Trade Calgary in Canada, and it's just the idea, and also the Dymaxion map that Buckminster Fuller made, the D20 of the Earth. I actually have a build of it right now. Oh, you can't see that. Anyways, it's to see our, you know, immediately challenge our perceptions of North is at the top and is somehow supreme. No, we're on a planet. We're on a sphere. There is no up. There's no up or down that is in some way hierarchical. So I think getting that view and leaving with that view connects also to a lot of the sci-fi, because I am in the sci-fi, you know, screenwriting genre. That's my favorite genre, I would say. It's like Frank Herbert. Okay, he wrote Dune, but he also really proposed this idea of developing a planetary ecologist, somebody who can, a group of people that can see the interdisciplinary connections at a planetary complexity scale. And that's a big big thing to ask, but I mean, where does that have to start? So not only then seeing it from like not the whole planet, we're talking about space, but about time. And so that's where the 7 generations backwards and forwards comes in. And so all of our products, I suppose, kind of take that lens. Like we just recently launched a starship design class, which is an intergenerational starship. Just think Wall-E, but maybe with more animals. You know, and we can't travel them faster than the speed of light. So we have to have people live and die their entire lives out on a starship in order to get to the next galaxy. So all of those things imply, though, that the life systems, the gas exchange, the everything, the social systems all have to be sustainable. So I don't know if I answered that question, but I kind of went far.
Yeah, that's cool. And I'm really curious, like, I mean, you kind of talked about the sustainability aspect. You've talked about the learning and pay it forward aspect. And so I'm just kind of curious about like what from your experience has inspired you to move forward with this as a passion project, and where do you get your daily inspiration as well as like overall, you know, life force inspiration, I guess we could call it.
The daily inspiration definitely comes from the team, and this team, I would say, outside of me, the median age is 17, and there's a few reasons for that. One is, I don't know if Dan Olson is here, but with the careers program, we've hired youth as interns. They get credit to, you know, be employed with Infinite Mind Pictures, and they bring us the best quality stuff. I mean, as facilitators, because they can become facilitators once they turn 18, which we have right now, and they're very close in age to the students, and their knowledge of Minecraft is probably more than I will ever have in my entire life. So they're already very close and connected, and be able to create that mentorship kind of relationship. Also, they're just so excited because, as one student put it, there's a job description of Minecraft architect. I am going to do that. And so, you know, we hired him, and he's just so excited every day to do all the back end server stuff, as well as now facilitating at the UX sort of experience, the user experience. And that's the best kind of format you can have for an instructor, always to be, you know, have one foot in the machinery and one foot in what's happening in the actual classroom. We also have a chief marketer who has, I think he's 16. He has his own YouTube channel, and he does our videos, and you'll see one of them today and hear him narrate it. And I mean, he's a fantastic video editor in his own right. So I mean, we have some banter, we have some joking going on, but it's always like, oh, we're trying this thing out. Did you see this? How'd it go? You know, and sharing stories. And so we really are constantly building a story together, and day to day, that's where it comes from.
That's really cool. And I'm sure, like, you know, as they grow older and start to think about, you know, going to university or, you know, whatever they do in their life, you know, that looks a lot more interesting on a resume than working at the ice cream stand or something like that.
It's funny you mention ice cream, because for Innovate Cochrane, we did an entire build of the downtown of Cochrane, and one of the first mini games that we created was for McKay's Ice Cream to, like, let's, you know, you're tasked with going and getting a bucket, filling it with milk, finding a cow, and then coming back, and then you get this ice cream at the end. So ice cream has strangely been like this theme throughout, like also my teaching time, you know, establishing the first fair trade school in Calgary, just like Ben and Jerry's ice cream, because they source all of their products through fair trade. And you know, fair trade is definitely part of the sustainability lab. But you know, my personal life, you know, the last the last assembly we had with students that was face-to-face, that was in person, was the Fair Trade Canada Youth Mixer event that we co-hosted. We created a sustainability fashion show, and we had, like, students had created their own fashion, and we're doing the catwalk thing. My buddy's DJ, he was spinning some tunes. It was fantastic. It was just like a great experience. Then the next day, I had to make the decision of whether or not students could go or not, because it was literally that day the pandemic hit. It was like mid-March that year. I can't remember the year now, but ever since then, there's been some real challenges as an educator in the classroom with, like, hybrid and things like that. But okay, I'm moving away from something here. You asked me a question.
Yeah, well, go ahead
come back.
I was going to ask you about some of those challenges and how COVID has changed the program. So why don't you go ahead and just segue into that?
Yeah, I just don't want to lose this slide. And I know I'd given Amber a link to showing us that video of the Sustainability Lab 1. And I'm wondering if we could share that. No? That's okay. I will.
It's in the chat.
I shared it.
Oh, you did? Oh, okay, perfect. So, I mean, that's where you can also hear Tyler's voice, and you can see the Sustainability Lab. Well, I talk about COVID. So COVID, led to this really, I mean, as an educator, it was very hard for many reasons. One was, delivering courses. Like, the worst peak, I would say, or valley, was delivering a hybrid course where I have like 30 students in the classroom. I am used to teaching a classroom, by the way, not in desks. It's like very movement oriented, and at some point, yes, we will get down to desk work, but there's a lot of improv that happens and things like that. But that was just not happening, so that was hard for me, period. But then I had a hybrid situation where I have students at home, and I tried to do it. Like, I had one earphone off trying to listen to these students, and another like dealing with the 30 in the room, and nobody had a good experience, and that included me. So that was very stressful. But as I would say last year, I really started to notice the mental health toll that students were experiencing, and things that happened that I hadn't seen in my career for a very long time, or at least they were now back to back kind of almost crisis situations, and that was I'm motivated by that, to make sure that students have a very safe place, that it's very inclusive, that it's creative, that it affirms their voice, that it gives them choice and empowerment. Like, those are all the things that I want to make sure, like, moving forward, that they have a quality experience. So
great.
So coming out of that, though, face to face, and I actually want to go from this slide to the next one, which is, it says in-person class here, the Sustainability Maze Design Collab. And we actually delivered a face-to-face course as a breakout session for junior achievement and the tech world of change. And I don't know if Brittany's here right now, but I met Brittany at Lunch Without Lunch, and she's like, hey, your Minecraft stuff's really cool. Do you want to come and do some stuff with junior achievement? So we ended up doing this breakout session, and we have the sustainability maze that actually the student intern designed, which is a modular maze that populates differently for every time you play it. We had about 20 to 30 grade 9 students in each breakout session, all diverse learners. They were just engaged the entire way. They were learning, they had fun, there was some coding involved. So I just want to go to the next slide, which I asked for junior achievement to say, hey, can you help us out? We're looking for some, set up some more funding or apply for some grants. And they wrote us this incredible, feedback. And so that was like a validation for us of, this is great face-to-face as well as virtual. We're not going to kind of do a hybrid thing here. We're going to do either one, and we can do either one really well. So, they just talk about the energy in the room, and other educators also noticed, hey, this is really great. And also the fact that it's designed in such a way that it really relieves the load on an educator. because believe me, I know this load, and if you can take that load off, create a turnkey situation for an educator, then you're doing a lot of good in the world, because they can also focus on what they do best, which is create these relationships and inspire youth.
That's awesome. So before we go into the Q&A, and I would urge everyone to put questions into the chat if you've got any. You had a couple of things that you were hoping that our Rainforest Hive might be able to help you with. So do you want to talk through that a little bit?
Absolutely, yes. So here's a slide of some of our partners, and it's just been incredible. So we're looking to expand our B2C, which is our OutSchool and Google Classroom, which we're starting to build, and we're going to be connecting as well with with business to business, school boards and organizations, and provide some content and experience there. So I mean, the ask I would have is for some business model guidance. I am learning, and I'm learning a lot, and there's been people who've been stepping forward to help with that. So that's great. Any more is more than welcome. More connections with these kind of partnerships. We're actually developing something called the Ag Lab right now, and that's we're going to be going to the Ag Smart conference next week, and being introduced to some people in that realm, doing Minecraft and agriculture and youth, and also funding opportunities. Friends and Family Plus. We want to grow and scale, and to do that, we need some funding.
Great. Awesome. Thanks so much, Stefan. Why don't we go ahead and move into some questions? Peter, you had one about the biases routed in Minecraft. Do you want to expand on that and just ask the question directly?
Hi, Stefan. Thanks for your presentation. This is great. I very much appreciate it. I've got a question around the biases that are kind of in the underpinnings of this application, such as economics, whether the bias is that man is destroying the planet, and or are there some elements of practical economics and what's happening in the farming industry, all of those sorts of things. How does it kind of get a sense of reality as opposed to just a digital experience?
Yeah, that's a really good question. So I think one of the things we do is we challenge some of those biases. Like, for example, mining. Like, it is called Minecraft, but when we are challenging, for example, okay, your village needs to have a sustainable, fashion, like an everyday outfit and maybe a special occasion outfit. One of the students designed a special occasion, an everyday outfit where they had woven gold thread into their clothing, and as she explained it was also handed down in a matriarchal way, so wealth being transferred from through the matriarchal line. So I mean, that's one challenge, but it also is that none of the gold was mined. It always has to be passed down, and it always has to be part of this circular economy. So we're actually saying, there's all kinds of blocks in Minecraft that are gold, but if we go and mine them, then we have to also understand that we are destroying habitat, that we are possibly putting chemicals such as arsenic into the water system. And so for every choice we make, we actually look to the reality of life in the world and try to connect some science to it as much as possible. So does that answer your question to some degree?
Yep. And then I'll just get off this, but I've got several young people in our family, generational, and the fatalism that a lot of them kind of think about in terms of what we're doing to the planet has permeated many of their thoughts. So And maybe that's a contribution to some of the mental health challenges that we're seeing.
You're absolutely right. And, you know, I was just writing this down the other day, and I was just like, does the stuff that we're doing actually offer some hope? And I think to some degree it does, because I mean, we are imagining a sustainable future, and then it's the action part that we can start to feel connected at a local level to what is this international sort of or worldwide planetary experience. And I think, you know, connecting to animals is, because that's at the forefront of everything we do. We also encourage doing those things in the real world, in the non-digital world, and to carry those practices so that we can have empathy and a connection with nature. And I know, again, it might seem ironic that this is a platform where they're, you know, sitting and doing digital things, but the eventual goal is always to connect us to each other and to the natural world.
I'd love to connect later on. It's great work and it's interesting, and thanks.
Thank you, Peter.
Yeah. So, Stefan, I know your partner Misha is on as well, and he put his contact information up there. How can people find you and reach you and connect?
Yeah. So I think Misha has helped develop their website and has created like a contact email there at infinitemind.games. Is that right, Misha? Is that the email? I'm just trying to see here.
Yeah, that should work.
Contact. Yeah, perfect. So that's one way. And of course, you know, check out our website, infinitemind.games.
Great.
Thanks, Misha, for putting that in there.
Any other questions from anyone?
Just a point of interest for your Revenant movie. I was actually a fur trader with the Hudson Bay Company in my early years. And when I watched The Revenant, I thought it was craziness.
Like it wasn't accurate.
Yeah, not very accurate.
Yeah, you know, actually at one point,
you don't survive in the winter. You don't survive in the winter time being wet and living in a river.
You do when you're Leonardo DiCaprio, Peter.
I know.
And I'm sure that he had more teeth than most people in those days as well.
And a sauna at the end of every day.
One of my
back in my youth, I ran a trap line for 2 years. And the deal with a trap line is you have to walk it at least once a week.
Yeah.
And when it's 40 below and blizzarding and it's Saturday, guess what you do?
Stay home or die.
Okay. I think we're going to go into breakout rooms. I want to say a big thank you to Stefan for being here and sharing. And thank you, Joel, for being here and co-hosting as well. So yeah, we are going to go into breakout rooms. You can continue what you talked about, what Stefan talked about today, or what you are hoping to get back from someone, what you can offer to someone. And yeah, then we'll come back for community announcements at 12:55. So I will start the breakout rooms. Bridget got the breakout rooms going. A big thank you again to Stefan for being here today. It was great having you. We're going to do some community announcements. If you haven't already, please listen and subscribe to the Leaders, Innovators, and Big Idea podcast. You can check it out at libby.ca. If you're interested in being a guest or a host, please feel free to reach out to us or to Elle Deldagan. Bridget, do you have any other announcements? No. Okay, awesome. We'll open it up to the community. If you have any announcements, please raise your hand or unmute.
I've got one. So our my fellow Rainforest Steering Committee member up here in Edmonton, Tim Carwell, is CEO of a company called ComAlert, and he is working with Norquest College up here to provide technical training to Indigenous students. And so this is, I believe it's 2 30-student cohorts that are starting this month. to do training for different tech problems that companies need solved. And so what they're looking for right now is companies to actually work with these students, whether through apprenticeship or hiring. And that includes a course that they run through to just make sure that they're hiring a diversity of students, not for checking off a box, but for helping to create that understanding of like, these are some of the things that these students need to really succeed. So I'm going to put a link to their press release in the chat right now. And so I urge if anyone is looking to hire students or to help solve those problems to check that out and to reach out to Tim for more information.
We've got a big Indigenous component to the rainforest energy thing that we're doing, Joel. So if you wouldn't mind just connecting us up and at least have the conversation.
Okay, great, we'll do.
We'll throw it in Slack too, Joel.
I put my email into the chat window earlier.
Awesome. Graham?
Awesome. Thank you, Amber. I'll throw this in the chat link as well too. But we are doing intakes for our first cohort of the Applied Data Science Lab. So what it is it bridges emerging data scientists, either individuals who have retooled or coming out of post-secondary, with organizations that are looking to adopt data science or early adopters. So there are two applications. There's one for those who want to be part of sort of the internship, and then there's another one for the companies that are looking to onboard. And usually you're working with a cohort of 4 data scientists, and they help you develop an overall proof of concept if you're a company. So if anyone has questions, feel free to fire me a message on Slack. I'll also leave my email in the chat if people have any questions here too.
Awesome. Thank you. Are there any other announcements? All right. Well, thank you everyone for joining us today at Lunch Without Lunch. It was really fun. And hopefully we'll see you next week. We'll have Nathan Klassen from Innovate Cochrane joining us next week. So it'll be a fun time as well. Yeah, hope everyone has a great week.
Talk to you soon.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Have a good week. Bye.